Bernie Sanders has got to feel a little hosed. He makes the trek down to the White House, get a little presidential foot massage, have his bruised feelings assuaged by Barack Obama, figure out how and when he will finally end his campaign and reluctantly endorse Hillary Clinton. And then he's barely out of the driveway when the president releases a video, pre-produced, nicely packaged, endorsing Hillary. And it includes a line about, I had a great meeting with Bernie Sanders this week, except the video was recorded 2 days earlier. So this whole endorsement kabuki dance is fascinating to me because it's going on right now in both parties. Hillary Clinton would like Bernie Sanders to get on the bandwagon and get out of the way, but as I've said, he's enjoying the limelight way too much. What else has he got to do? And so he wants to stretch this thing out. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, it seems that a number of people who ran against Donald Trump or were never wild about Donald Trump or have kind of tepidly endorsed Donald Trump, but now they're not so sure. Every time a reporter sticks a microphone in their face, they are now saying negative things about Donald Trump and not so sure they're going to endorse him. John Kasich, haven't heard from the Ohio governor for a while. He talks to Fox's Bill Hemmer and says, well, it's hard to say if and when he'll endorse Trump. He doesn't like the divisiveness and the tone of Trump. This referring, of course, to the controversial Trump remarks about the judge in the Trump U case, Gonzalo Curiel, and being of Mexican heritage. And I see the same thing with Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan did rather tepidly endorse Donald Trump, and every day it seems he's been critical of Trump and has certainly not been an enthusiastic backer. So MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell asked him, well, how can you say that what Trump said is the textbook definition of racism and yet you're still supporting him? And do you think the rules should be changed at the convention to block a Trump nomination? Well, Trump won the 1237 delegates fair and square. And it goes on and on and on. Other senators running for re-election, Mark Kirk, Susan Collins, all distancing themselves from Trump. Now, it doesn't matter all that much whether Trump has, a photo op raising the arms with some of these elected leaders because he ran against the GOP establishment. It does matter, though, if so many of them are shying away from him, that it creates the impression that there's still a GOP civil war going on. And so, I think there's, a lot of reasons that politicians endorse. They're usually not happy if they've lost the race, but they might think the guy's going to win, and they might want a job in the new administration, or they might want help with retiring their campaign debt, or they might want to influence policy or get jobs for their buddies, and on and on and on. It's usually done in their self-interest. Some might even want to be considered for VP. But when the tide turns against said candidate, and I've never seen an election like this, it may be that any politician, any Republican right now can buy a cheap headline by just simply criticizing Trump or withholding an endorsement. If you say you're endorsing Donald Trump, that's not really a big story, depending on who you are. So watching this process very carefully, because I don't think any individual endorsement matters, but I do think overall Trump has to figure out a way to get the Cruz supporters, the Rubio supporters, the Kasich supporters enthusiastic and out to vote for him, and Hillary Clinton has to find a way to get the Bernie bros to be enthusiastic about her and not just stay home. That's why this story matters. And by the way, remember when all the geniuses in the press said that Hillary Clinton had to distance herself from Barack Obama because she needed to not run for Obama's third term? Now...
Welcome back to Hannity. So, following the violent protests outside a Donald Trump rally in San Jose last week, well, shocking video has now emerged of Trump supporters getting harassed and threatened and even assaulted by left-wing agitators. Now, one particularly disturbing clip shows a young boy, watch him there, being chased by a very angry mob of protesters through the streets of San Jose, eventually being tackled and thrown to the ground.
And meanwhile, I'm being accosted and having my signs, my Trump signs, ripped out of my hands and everything else, and spit on and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to have been a scary thing. Now, did your son got hit how many times?
He got hit twice in the back of the head. He had 2 big lumps on his head at the end of the night.
All right.
And
now,
then he got a cone thrown at him, too, by somebody.
And I got to give him a lot of credit because, I mean, you can't fight an angry mob. I train in martial arts. I wouldn't fight a mob that big. You're going to get killed. So even after he got tackled here for no reason, and he got tackled pretty hard, and then another guy tried to hit him with some orange thing, and then he took off again. Was he safe after that? And where were the police?
No, after that, he was about halfway to the police line, and he got up and ran to the police line. And then after he crossed the police line, they actually asked him if he was doing okay, and that was about it. And then the police, they had other things to worry about, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I seen him go through the police line. I tried to get over there to the police line and go check on his well-being, and they wouldn't let me through. And I kept saying, that's my son, that's my son. And the guy just said, get back, get back.
Unbelievable. But the police saw that this mob was chasing him. Why didn't they break ranks? Do you think they were told to stand down?
Well, that's what I've heard from numerous people, even people who are police officers, that they were told to let the protesters protest. But these weren't protesters. These were people looking for a fight. I mean, there was no one chasing my son trying to exercise his First Amendment rights. And what did the fire department do to him? Nothing. I mean, he tried to jump on the truck, as you can see in one of the videos. They just pretty much rolled up the window and just drove off. Wow, this scene. I don't know where they were headed. I don't know what. This scene is pretty chilling. I mean, to see how big that mob is chasing your son is scary. Let me, if I can, go to Ms. Dillon. Now, we saw the video over and over again. Your client is being surrounded by a mob. You can see Mexican flags kind of being waved in her face. And it looks like somebody walks up at point-blank range and hits her with an egg. Is that all that happened?
No, Sean. I mean, I was actually there, too, in this mob. I was at the event, and I can tell you that what Craig just described is absolutely accurate. There are 250 police officers lined up there. They stayed in formation, and they didn't do a thing to help all of the people who were being attacked. So she had a Trump jersey on, and I think that's one of the things that caught the attention of this mob of criminals. And they pursued her. They kind of chased her. They chased her to the doors of the Marriott. What you see there is
did she get punched as well?
Did she get hit? Of the doors of the Marriott. She got shoved, and she got several things thrown at her. The egg was one thing, and she was very frightened for her life. She tried to get into the Marriott, and they had shut the doors from the inside too. So it was a very upsetting situation.
There was one piece. I want to give you an opportunity to debunk this. There was one piece I saw on the internet somewhere that said, "Oh, she was taunting the mob." I don't see that at all. Did that happen?
Well, not in that video. They started it, and she probably talked back, like saying, "Hey, you know, go away." So she did interact with them before that egg was thrown.
Yeah. What do you make? So your opinion is that the San Jose mayor, who blamed Trump for this, which is insane, but you believe that the police were told to stand down and told not to protect the people being attacked?
I do believe that. That's what I witnessed with my own two eyes. I was there with my husband at the event, and I'm shocked at his comments afterwards. And now, finally, the police are beginning to investigate it, but they haven't, to my knowledge, gotten to any of the ringleaders, and that's why we have a lawyer involved now.
Is it more than that? In other words, does your client, would you feel that the city failed in their job to protect the citizens by not being in that location when they knew something was happening?
Well, it's worse than that. They actually directed all of the victims into the line of the mob and towards danger. So that's clearly a civil rights violation under the Civil Rights Act. The civil right in question is our right to free assembly and free speech. And so everybody who was in that crowd was a victim of a civil rights violation. And then on top of that,
and your client wants the mayor to resign, to be out of office, correct?
Yeah, she signed one of those petitions for that effect, as well as many other people in the group. And I think they're also organizers of this mob that should be held legally liable for what happened there. Craig,
are you going to follow up on any of the issues? You feel that the police didn't come to the defense of your son? You believe they were aware what was happening? What is your next plan of action?
Absolutely. I mean, the police chief and the mayor need to be held accountable for their actions. I mean, what they did is unconscionable. And like she said, we were directed through the mob, and that's the worst part of it. It's one thing to let people protest, the other thing to make other people go through the protest, force them to. Yeah. We weren't allowed to go away from the protest.
Yeah, listen, I know that's right. Every cop I know goes against their instincts. They see something like that happening, their instinct is to go help. The only reason I can think of for them not doing that is if they were told not to do so. But, you know, I don't have any evidence to suggest that. Do either of you have any evidence?
None whatsoever.
I've heard anecdotally from people who are, you know, have spoken to police officers. I mean, look, right before we were directed into this mob, this group of Trump supporters was thanking the police for being there. This is generally a pro-law enforcement crowd, so this is not a knock on police in general, but in this specific instance, it's shocking to see 250 of them lined up and not lifting a finger to help hundreds of victims.
All right, we'll continue to follow the story. Thank you both for being with us. And Craig, I hope your son's okay. And I hope, of course, your client is okay.